Mrs. Oxy, who represents the State Education Department, indicated that those children who started the program but didn't utilize their allotted money should then be, it will be used.
Thank you.
My staff and I will then look at the list, notify the parents, and get it moving as quickly as possible so that by the end on August 30th, we'll have utilized the funding.
So you're recommending that we rescind the waiver? Is that of the
There are
choices?
three options.
Because the one that was just mentioned, I think the appeal isn't what you're speaking of, it's the opposite. It's to appeal the decision that they made that we should spend.
I don't think the decision was made. That's why I said, you asked me my preference, and then I said we should go ahead as per the state recommendation, or for the children, the 765 and proceed.
I'm just saying right now, we're in a second on an issue that we can be voting on that would actually put us in an appeal against that decision. So
Through the chair,
you know what I mean? That's what we are.
through the chair,
Yes.
let me say this clearly. The motion that was made would appeal this. That would mean that 765, I can't find the letter at this hour, but the 765 would not go to the SES program. It would go to appeal to the commissioner,
Right.
which is a long, drawn-out process.
So you don't want to.
So there's a motion to appeal. Now, that motion can pass or fail. Should it pass, that's the end of the story. Should it fail, then you need to decide, and I have to go in my books here to find the three options I read earlier. One was to use local funds, which from what I understand, there aren't local funds. Two would be to use the ARA waiver money, or majority of the ARA waiver money, which would mean a vote to undo the waiver that we got approved and use that money, or a lot of that money. The third option was, and I have to find my letter, local funds or undo the waiver or use some carryover. I have to find the letter. My apprentice here may have.
And while you're looking, I just want to remind the other board members that this SES funding, that we have successfully defended some issues that were in the past, but having had some guidance from the state in this area that we should be using it, we should be very cautious about going back and now yet appealing something where in the past we were sort of considered not to be expending it at the rate that they would like to. So I don't know that we want to be appealing this decision when in fact, you know, rescinding the waiver seems to be the direction in which they are leaning towards.
Through the chair?
Yes.
I have a question for Ms. Silva, if
Yes.
possible. If we spent $1.3 million on these SES funds the entire year, do you feel confident that you're going to be able to spend this $765,000 in just 2 months? Or are you going to be left with a balance that they're going to make it either carry over or whatever it is?
Yes.
And I defer to our attorney, but if it's rolled over, it'll be used for SES next year. So I don't have an issue with that. It'll provide for more tutoring during the course of next year. If that's the case. And now, I don't know how much we can spend. It means contacting parents, contacting children, contacting the vendors, and starting the process again. So that we'll push it. I guarantee you we will push it hard. Now it's a matter of, I can't determine the public response to it because it's summer, et cetera, et cetera. So I cannot tell you with assurance that we're going to spend the $765,000.
It is a finite number, though. Let's deal with the reality. Obviously, we were met some weeks ago that there were numbers of children signed in who we ceased and desisted. If those numbers sign up, all we got to do is do the math. And I can tell you that from what we were approached with the last time, it's very likely that we would expend the money with the numbers of kids that have already been told no more.
You don't have enough money.
So if I could ask the legal scholar, as
You're not going to have enough money.
can you carry over the funds if they're not all spent?
I wasn't here for the whole discussion because I was looking for the letter, which I haven't found. But right now, let me suggest this. Miss Oxy, who I'm very fond of, Miss Oxy of the Department of Education, We discussed it. I need Ms. Silva to tune in and Mr. Finger, respectfully. I did ask the question during our conference call, sorry, about what happens, how can you spend 760, let me get the number, 765, 381 in a span of 2 months. I did not get clear direction, which is not unusual in my opinion, from where I asked the question. But the fact may be that the letter, which I have, which is a public document, says the money must be used by August 31st. I just have to find it. I am a little tired. I need a second. Yes, it says the combined amounts, which would be a total, if the board would approve this, you would have spent $2,135,791 on SES. And it says this money would be available during the 10 project period, which would be from September 09, which has passed, Ms. Oxy, to August 31st, 2010, which is in 2 months. My understanding of this is that they are hoping we utilize these funds by August 31st. What happens if we don't? I would assume it is carried over to the following year. Well, again, someone in the audience who I respect, who at one point in life referred clients to me. But the fact may be that he is saying you'll be penalized. Unfortunately, or fortunately, I was on the phone with Ms. Oxy and with her staff, as was Mr. Finger and as was Ms. Silva and Mr. Anderson. My understanding, and I will check my notes if I'm giving a second for that phone call, because when I speak to the state, I always have someone taking notes. And in there, I believe they said, no disrespect to the legal scholar in the audience, that that would be carried over. But I have to say this respectfully to the board and to the public. You must first get to the fundamental question. The fundamental question is as follows. The 765,381, are you appealing that or not? If you appeal it, this conversation, as we call, is a nullity, because that money is not available until that appeal is ruled on either way. If you're not appealing it, then you have 3 ways to get that money together. 1 is to use local funds, which I've been told there are none. 2 is to undo the waiver, if you will, rescind the waiver, and use 765. And the 3rd way would be to amend the grant and carry over. I have to say this, and I say this lovingly to the people in the state, I don't believe the number is really going to be 765, and I'll tell you why, if I may. I think it's important you know this. They respectfully, and everything I'm saying is being recorded, which is fine, they were, in my opinion, less than clear, because at one point we thought our exposure could be more than $1 million and something. They came to this number. Again, I wasn't going to argue with that because it was less for the district to have to find the money for. However, I believe this number may be off by approximately $200,000 or so, about 265, because the year in question they're talking about, which was the 8-9 school year, was actually the summer of 09, where allegedly, and again, I only want to learn about this afterwards when there's a problem. In the summer of 09, last summer, there was approximately 200-something thousand spent on public programming. Ms. Lawson, to her credit, we had a Bridges program, there was all scholars program. Again, I'm just, the bottom line is I don't think the number truly is 765,381. I think it might be 200 or so thousand less. But again, that begs the question, appeal or not to appeal? If you appeal, it's all irrelevant. If you don't appeal, then the question is it 765,381 or is it 765,381 minus, how much do we use for the public that summer?
Roughly around between 495 and 495,500.
Again, I have to give you this information, because if not, I get 400,000 emails that I don't answer.